Okay, sorry about that. So basically this version of Screencast-O-Matic that we have on the college computers, it restricts you to recording for 15 minutes at a time. So I was trying to get everything in the last video, but just gonna have to run over into two. So anyway, back to where we were. Just explain this a bit clearer now if you didn't get it. So we've got this event begin play. So that's the event that's going to trigger as soon as the game begins. So as soon as the game begins, it's going to do these things in order. So first of all, it's going to spawn this AI from class, which is the enemy type 2, and it's going to spawn it to this location. Okay, so remember I just got those figures from just placing a box in and taking the location details from that. All right, here we are. Just as a heads up though, the Z value, which is up and down, if you leave it at 0, then your box won't spawn, because if it's at 0, then technically it's actually going to be intersecting with the ground. So it won't spawn if it's intersecting with something. And also that applies to anything. So if your location of something that's going to spawn would spawn intersecting with another object, so if that location is the same as some other object in the world space, then it won't spawn. It just won't appear. Okay, so I put it at 200, so it's enough above the ground level so that it will spawn. Okay. Obviously, if you wanted to go more advanced into the AI doing different things, you can create a behavior tree, but we're not going to go that far at the moment. And what I did with this delay, so let me just recreate it. So from here, we can search for delay. Delay is the amount of time that's going to be between a new enemy spawning in. So if you wanted one to spawn every second, just put 1 in there. If you wanted it every 10 seconds, put 10, etc. So every 5 seconds, one's going to spawn. If you put it up here, and then once it's completed, just go back to the beginning here again, that essentially just creates a loop so that it will always continuously keep doing that. All right. And I've just copy and pasted that. So we've got another one. This one spawns every 3 seconds and it's in a different location. Okay, so you can set up your spawn locations for as many enemies as you want. If you want another one, just add a new pin here. Sorry, if I select those, Control V, Control C, Control V, then you can come down to here. So you've got a third one, and then just change the location. Minus 1,800 or something. Obviously, if that's intersecting with something, I haven't checked, then that won't spawn, but we'll see. So complete that. Also, when they're spawning, and you notice I haven't got any in the actual map, you don't need to drag them in because the code is spawning them for us. If I push play, you can see, yeah, all 3 have spawned over there. And as soon as I go into the vision so it can see me, then they start chasing me. All right, that one over there isn't for some reason. Okay, because it couldn't see me. All right, and no matter where I go, because I had it set to 180 on the peripheral vision, no matter where I go, they're always going to see me. I think even if I go into a little house, they'll follow me in. Okay, I'm trapped now, can't get out. All right, so, just kind of play around with that, with the positioning and things. I think if I moved quick enough, I can get out of their view and they'll stop following me. Try going around here. Yeah, or they just get stuck because they can't. Okay. But, yeah, as I said, set that up as you want. Just, be creative with the level design, the map design. Yeah, I could have spawned them so that they were spawning within inside these little houses or something. That's totally up to you. So yeah, by the end of this section, you should have 2 different enemy types. One which is just the stationary ones, which you can obviously shoot out and get a point for each one. And the other one is these ones which respawn and chase you. Okay, we probably get onto, hopefully at some point, so that they can fire at the player as well, but one thing at a time. Another thing which might help, or you might want to change. So obviously with our enemy type 1, we had it set up so that it gives you 1 point. All right, so let's say, for example, you wanted to change, you wanted to get 5 points or something for this enemy type each time you killed one, then you just change over here. So remember our score variable? So what this is doing is setting plus whatever this number is to the total score variable, so you can change that for different enemy types. If I change that to like 2, compile it, when I kill these guys, I get 2 points. When I kill those, I get 1. Okay, so you can play around with that, wherever you want your scoring system to be. Let's try and think if there's anything else to wrap up at this point. I'll just do a quick recap over everything that we've done in this section. So we created a second enemy type, but we created that as a character blueprint class. Okay, we added in a box and a collision box as we did before. We also added pawn sensing. We set up the sight radius and peripheral vision angle for it to interact with the character. In the event graph, we just copied this over from the other enemy type, remembering to delete and re-add in the on component hit and change the score to what you want. And then we added in the AI move to, so when it sees us, when it sees the character, AI move to the character, and it's moving itself to the character. Okay, and then in character movement, you can change the max walk speed. Remember, 600 is the same as the playable character, so if you want it to be slower or faster, you can base that on 600 being the character's speed. That was that, and then we went up into the level blueprint, okay, which applies to the entire level. We've got begin play. We can add as many enemies spawning as we want with adding more pins, and then you just repeat this section, changing the location and the delay between each spawn. Okay, remembering to choose the enemy type. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense, and all of that functions with this. If I push P again, nav within this nav mesh. Okay, so if I was to stand outside of that, all the AI that this is associated with it will stop working. So it won't see me, it won't move towards me, it can't move into this outside of this area. Okay, so you might want to adapt that depending on your map. Okay, so hopefully that's all working for you, and then we'll move on to the next thing in the next video.